Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Trends KE. My name is 𝐬𝐭𝐫𝐶edric, and this is our Trends KE episode where we have the interviews. And tonight we are hosting Kevin Mugo, whom I shall be bringing to you soon. We are going to talk about his initiative that he has started to be able to take those to keep the kids who are in school and also help those who are not in school to be able to join school. So Kevin has a story, having been on the streets, having been a street child. He understands what happens there. Hence, this is exactly what motivated him to start that initiative. And my producer is bringing our guest on the show. Hello, Kevin. Thank you very much. And welcome to the show. Thanks for accepting our invite. So we will just get directly into it. So briefly tell us about your story, Kevin.
All right, so thank you for the chance, and I feel honored to be here with you. So I would just say that due to family issues and dysfunctions, I happened to run away from home and went to look for a better life outside there. And when I went to a place where kids were allowed to do cow grazing, where a kid would be paid like 100 per cow, and I happened to get employed to work in a home where I had 4 cows, so every month I would be paid 400. And because I was a kid, my employer would not give me the like my salary, and I opted now to move out of that place and went to the nearby town, where now I started looking for vibaruas. And it was a good 3 years where I lived in that town, living a life of a street child, not very hardcore like you will find kids in Nairobi or other hardcore streets. So
Yes.
I lived in that town for 3 years until I remember it was on a Friday where a retired teacher came in a butchery where I had given I had been given kibarua.
Yeah.
So he got interested because I was so young. I was, I think, 14 years old, and he was like, "Why do we have this kid here?" And his approach was so good that I didn't run away. So he showed his interest to know me better, and I told him that I've been in this town for 3 years, and I would like to go back to school given a chance. So it's
Yeah.
from there that he took me to school, and then I was taken to a rehabilitation school in Nyeri called St. Mary's
Yeah.
Rescue Center, where I grew up and got assisted to school. Then I went all through. Sorry for that. I went all through up to Form 4 in the same school, because it has 2 schools. There is a rehabilitation school in the high school called St. Mary's. So I did my Form 4, and now I'm 4th year uh, in the University of in Kenyatta University, pursuing Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, Gender Development Studies.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for giving us a brief about your story. And that's actually what motivated you to come up with this initiative of taking kids to school. So let's just have briefly about your experience while you are staying on the seas. You are saying haikuwa tough sana kama vile ile watu wanapitia hii Nairobi. But hopefully, I think you had colleagues also out there, right?
Yeah, true.
So yeah, generally hiyo experience ya kukaa hapo and treatment of other people from outside, wale wenye wanapatana na watoto wako kwa streets, how would you tell the people that these kids who are on the streets actually feel, apart from the notion ile ya watu wana believe watoto wa streets mostly tu ni wezi na watu wanavuta gang?
First of all, I would say you can't claim these kids. You can't claim. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go on.
You can't claim you know these kids until you hear from them, you approach them in a good, like, as human, and get to learn why they are in the streets. So if you met me then, you and judge me saying that maybe I was maybe a bad, like a big-headed person, that's why maybe I'm in the streets, maybe I don't listen to advice, or I didn't listen to my parents. If you judged me through that notion, then you'll be judging wrongly. But
Yeah.
just like this man who came to me and listened to me and understood me, we all they all deserve such people with such mindset. People who don't see these kids as non-human, people who don't see these kids as thieves, people who see these kids as just normal kids, only that their situation allows them to be where they are. Because you will find that in the streets, these kids, they will come borrowing, and for the reason as why you will find them sniffing glue and all other usage of substances, because they need to keep up. They need something to make them adapt to the environment. No, a normal person cannot stay in that environment where there is cold, there is
Yes.
rejection. That's why you will find them using such substances. And given a chance, like I was given a chance, these kids can become things or people that we can't even imagine. They can become good people. The only thing that they need is an environment that can enable them to change, and people who are not ready to give up on them. Because first of all, you remember, they have been in the streets and they are not used to like following rules, like a parent would like a child to follow rules. So if you
Yeah.
get these kids to your home, and you start telling them to follow orders, some of those orders might not be obeyed, just because these
Yeah.
kids are not used to that life. So you just need to be patient with the kid, and with time you'll be amazed on how good they can be. They just need a chance and someone who cannot give up on them.
A chance and someone who cannot give up on them. Actually, I was reading a certain book called The Politics of Betrayal, and the author of the book was talking about street kids attending a certain function here in town in Nairobi, and he refers to them as the orphans, the petty thieves, and the cast lot, some as young as 5, that the society has decided to ignore. And actually, your point has proved that uh, these are people who can change, but the society has decided to ignore and think that where they belong is to the streets.
Yeah, and actually that's why I love sharing my story, because like when you go in those streets and see those kids, seeing myself as one of them, and I've been able to go through life. It has not been smooth transitioning from street life to normal life, but
Yeah.
you couldn't, like, I would confidently call myself a psychologist in becoming a gender and development expert in becoming. I didn't see myself as such like 10 years ago, because the treatment in those streets, it's like, you see, they are made to accept that they cannot become better when they are in the streets. So I will still say that these kids are human. They just need a chance and just a loving heart. That's it.
And you also decided that you will give them a chance in any way possible that you can by starting this initiative you call Touch. Tell us about Touch.
All right. So, in the school that I was, St. Mary's Boys, when I was in Form 1, I was, the school supports needy people, but we still have people who are well up who come to that school. And um, I started asking myself, how can these students, or can we students, give back to the society without necessarily being like in a position like being workers or having to earn a salary for us to give back? And that's why I started bringing people together, like sharing with my fellow students, Like, why don't you, for example, why don't you, when you're doing a shopping, when reporting school, when your mom is doing a shopping for you, just ask her to do an extra. If she buys like three packets of tissue paper, ask her to buy one and let's come and collect everything and share with the children in our environment, or even children in other centers where they are being assisted. And that's how the organization started, and it was accepted by the administration, the pupils, the students, and we became one of the most impactful club in the school, where now
Yes.
we were given chances to fundraise during parents visiting and all other manner of gathering that was in school, because the club was impactful. It was seen adding value and giving students a chance to give back and to realize how much we can do as young people. So from
Yes.
after my form 4, I registered the organization as a community-based organization, where now we started serving now the environments, the small communities in Nyeri. And
Yeah.
in 2019 December, the organization became an non-governmental organization where we are mandated to work in 3 counties, that is Kirinyaga,
Yes.
Nyeri, and Nairobi. And
Yeah.
that's where we operate. So and we have
Let me
our
let me
four.
just
Sorry.
Yeah. Let me just throw in another question quick. You have told us how it came up. So, who are your target? Who are the people you are targeting to start it? And where do you see it in the coming, let's say, like 5 years?
So something I didn't mention, when we were starting this organization, or when I was starting the organization, what I had in mind was to just have a way to reach to the street children. But it was kind of difficult because we were students and we've been students all along up to now. So we started of thinking of how we can now keep children from coming to the street. We let those who are in the street remain in the street and keep those who are in school in school. So that's now where we started implementing programs in with the schools, now with the school attending kids, to just keep them in school. And now as we devise a way to now help those who are in the street, because our main goal is to have a system where
Yes.
these kids can be given a platform or an environment where they can be able to be rehabilitated for them to get access to education as normal kids.
And how do you get at this point? Where do you get the funding for the association? And in case anyone wants to come through to be able to help some of these kids, how can they do that?
So I would say our main source of funding comes from our membership. We recruit
Yes.
members from young people. We have over 100 members who they subscribe on monthly basis. And again, we
Yes.
still have well wishers through our sharing through Facebook and Instagram. We've been able to get people, companies, groups who are willing to help us do what we do. So in case
Yeah.
someone is there and would like to help us through what we do, they can visit our website, www at touch africa, touch is TACH africa.org, and they can get more information on what we've done, what you're planning to do, and any way that they can be able to help through.
Yeah, and just as we wind up, because I can see our time is really up, we are getting into the political season. The promises are coming again. There are still kids on the streets. There are still kids in homes, poor backgrounds, who cannot be able to get an education. What would be your advice of the kind of a leader that the young people are supposed to elect in regards to this initiative that you're doing of getting children back to school?
I would say my take would be um, getting the young people or the children in a position where they can be able to access such services like education without much struggle. For example, if you paid attention to some news that was released, I think 2 days ago, we have so many. I think is it 40% who have not yet joined school, and you see most of issues affecting such kids is things like school fees. They cannot be able to afford such, and yet we still say we have free education. For them, it doesn't make sense that we have free education and they are still at home. So I would say maybe government can come with a way where kids can every kid can get access to education, and without much struggle, like we've seen in the latest news. And actually, citing an example, 2 weeks ago, we were confronted with a problem where a girl who had performed very well was not able to attend school after the Form 1s had joined, and we had to do our we couldn't say no to such request, and we did our best to take this child to school. And how I wish we can be able to take so many because of now the constraint of finances, but I believe government can devise a system to handle such challenges affecting the young people and the children at most.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Actually, you have expressed yourself passionately in a way that anyone listening to this would be willing to help get kids out of the streets and also out of homes who are not able to access education and other services as equally as it is supposed to be, because what most Kenyans don't understand is that most of these things are actually rights. It's not right for someone to be on the streets, for example. So a kid of their age is supposed to have somewhere they are supposed to stay, is supposed to have an education, is supposed to access what any other kid is able to access. So as we get into the political season, that's a very great advice you've given there. Thank you very much for coming to the show and speaking to us.
Yeah, it has been an honor and as well as a privilege, and I thank you so much for giving me this time with you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have been speaking to Kevin there from Touch. That is Touch a Child's Heart Foundation, who is helping kids who are on the streets and in homes get an education, and those who are in school to keep in school. That's a noble thing for our youth to do, and it's high time all of us joined hands to help each other and to help the young ones. Thank you very much for coming up to the show, and thank you very much for always tuning to the Alternative Voice. Follow us and also send us those adverts if you have them, which we shall be playing on our shows continuously. My name is 𝐿𝐿 𝐷. Thank you very much for coming up to the show tonight.